Welcome to Sage-Based Wisdom. I'm Jana Schmieding.
And I'm Brian Bahe.
And we're podcasting to you from the sacred homelands of Alfred Coffee.
And Sink Coffee. Today, we'll be giving you, our listeners, some advice cultivated indigenously from our backgrounds in SpaceX.
And learning how to become a sniper in these crazy political times.
But first, Jana, what's some advice you've been getting from the algorithm this week?
All right. Let's look at the algorithm that we both have now.
This is actually crazy.
Our algos have merged. The what is it called? The synchronicity.
Yes, has synced.
The synchronicity has sunk. And Brian and I are sharing an algorithm. We opened up TikTok today to say, what advice are we going to give on the pod? Or what advice are we going to review on the pod? And this TikTok came up.
Jana played this TikTok, and I was like, I literally had that bookmarked. My thumb was hovering over.
Insane.
Yeah.
But also, I'm not surprised.
The algorithm knows we host a podcast at this point.
An advice-based
It's
podcast.
gathering data on us.
Yeah, it is. And honestly, that's okay. I think it's okay if the Chinese government thinks that I just am like a soul wandering in the darkness, needing so much bad advice about how to live a life.
It is crazy once you started. My TikTok would be maybe like 1 out of every 10, 15 would be advice before this podcast. And now it is like 1 out of every 3. And I don't mind it. Advice is kind of, no one is really giving me advice on the street. So it is kind of nice to get some unsolicited advice every once in a while.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Because all of it is bad. I mean, most of it is bad.
It's usually bad. It's from the last people you want advice from.
Yeah. It's always some middle-aged white lady or white lady in her 20s who has not lived a life.
Yeah.
And telling you what her therapist has told her.
What I want to see, actually, I feel like so many of my videos are people walking on the street, filming themselves, and I've never seen that. I want to see that in person. I want to see somebody walk down the street.
Going like this?
Yeah.
Hey, guys. Or, hey, besties. What's up? I'm just here to give you some advice.
Yeah, I want to see that.
Yeah.
And maybe we need to start doing that.
I would
Let's go to Hollywood Boulevard.
I made a TikTok sitting on the shitter last night, and I said straight up, and I'm taking a shit right now.
Whoa!
I don't give a fuck.
Nobody's doing that.
Nobody's doing that. Okay? More people admitting that you're taking a shit while you're taking a shit and making a TikTok.
Yeah.
Because we know you're taking a shit. Everybody's doing TikToks on the shitter.
Were you like hovering? Like, were you looking down at the phone when you were recording?
No,
I was sort
of like this.
Okay, but the phone was held up here.
I was like my knees, my elbows were on my knees, and I was going like this.
Yeah.
And I said, "What the hell, Democrats? You're not doing shit for us." Also, I am taking a dump right now.
Damn.
Man.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
We need that
energy. And then you
energy.
heard plop, plop, plop into the toilet. No, you don't. I feel like we could very easily do a walk and talk. You know who is doing the walk and talk these days on his socials? Bernie Sanders.
Oh,
Bernie is.
Wait, really?
Every time I open like Instagram or TikTok, I see Bernie, and it's like his staffer has just said action, and he goes, "You know something about the Democrats that you gotta know." It's like he takes like 2 steps in and then starts like talking. It's so funny.
I respect that.
You know, he's doing the work.
He's doing the work.
He's out in the streets with the people. He's telling us what's going on.
Is he holding the camera or is somebody else holding it?
Somebody else is holding it. Bernie can't hold the camera and talk at the same time. He doesn't even know what it is.
It's just phone. Yeah. He would trip and fall.
He's giving grandpa vibes in the cutest way, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love it.
Wouldn't you love to have Bernie Sanders as a grandpa?
Absolutely.
I bet he's a dope fucking grandpa.
Remember that photo of him, like it was his home?
Yeah.
And there was just like shit piled on a chair.
Yeah.
It was like the most relatable photo of a politician you've ever seen.
God, he is so relatable.
Yeah. Should we play this clip?
Charisma is not about being extroverted. Charisma about being interested. To be interesting, you be interested. Research has found that when we produce dopamine in conversation, it actually makes you more memorable. Dopamine, it's the chemical of motivation. It's the chemical of pleasure and excitement. And when you're asked about things that make you feel excited, you actually produce dopamine and you create what are called mental markers. Dr. Medina calls them mental post-it notes. That you're with someone and they ask you a dopamine-worthy question. Your brain goes, ooh, this person makes me feel good. I'm going to remember them. So how do we produce dopamine? You literally use dopamine triggering words. Do not ask, what do you do anymore? What do you do is really asking, what are you worth? If we're going to get rid of it, what are we going to replace it with? Are things that someone defines themselves by that get them excited. That's a very, very simple swap, but it allows someone to say, all we're doing is we're trying to sub out autopilot questions for dopamine producing questions.
Whoa. Okay. Whoa.
Shout out to her.
Shout out to her.
Vanessa.
What do you do? How are you? How's it going? Where are you from? If you ask someone, how are you? Charisma is not about being extroverted.
Sorry, okay. That will get cut out. Okay. Van Edwards.
Oh. I'm assuming the V is for Vanessa.
Vanessa Van Edwards. She's saying to create mental... Instead of...
In conversation, you can elicit dopamine from the person you're talking to.
Yes.
Which is kind of cool.
I like this hack.
I like this hack too. I'm wondering who's eliciting my dopamine.
Well...
And are they doing it on purpose?
And she's arguing we should be doing it on purpose.
Right.
We should be asking people those kinds of questions instead of saying like, hey, what do you do?
Yeah, here's what I get worried about all hacks is like it's kind of like it takes the fun out of when it happens naturally. When like somebody naturally in just like a completely conversation that is just what it is.
Right.
The dopamine is being released.
Totally.
It's kind of like then you're creating that in a way. Which is, but it's like in kind of like a science lab.
And I think that yes, you can't push it. You know, you can't be one of those. You can't be like a conversational pickup artist.
Yeah,
you remember VH1's Pickup Artist?
I loved that show. I don't think I saw an episode, but I only saw the commercials.
Can I tell you that I
loved it.
Did improv in college with a guy who was on Pickup Artist?
That makes so much sense.
And he was great.
What, in improv or at the show?
Both.
Did he make? Because it was like a makeover show, right?
Kind of. There is a makeover element to the show.
Right, but it was like a reality show.
It's a reality show taking these nerdy dudes who don't have any game and teaching them the art of teaching them how to be pickup artists.
What was the name of the guy?
Mystery?
Yes.
Mystery fucking wearing those goddamn Dr. Seuss hats and his nasty fucking facial hair and his piercings and shit.
He was ahead of his time because I remember at the time
he was famously behind his time. Famously.
I remember like younger me. I was like, I'm into guys, but I'm like, he's doing nothing for me. But now if I saw him, I'm like, all right. I'm team mystery.
No. Oh God, mystery dried up so many pussies across this very land. Okay, our pussies became deserts when Mystery was on TV, and for more reasons than just how he looked. His tactics are so just super fucking wrong and bad.
The way he did hat, I'm like,
those
if I saw him,
fucking dorky, and then he would wear like the sort of like the steampunk goggles, but like on his forehead, and then a fucking fluffy Dr. Seuss hat. What a loser!
If I saw him, I would be like, I sensed his aura 10 scrolls away or whatever. I'd be like, mystery.
If I saw him, I would have to sniper him. And that's why I'm learning how to sniper people. Okay? Because you're out, mystery. I bet he was a fucking Jan 6er, dude.
Oh, yeah.
Where were you on
Unfortunately,
January
yeah,
6th,
yeah.
mystery?
You just see this little steampunk hat like bobbing in the background.
He's like banging down the door. He puts his steampunk glasses on like a statue of Ben Franklin in the fucking Capitol building.
Damn. Ben Franklin with the glow up.
You got that mystery glow up. Ben Franklin was a hoe.
Oh,
He
yeah.
was a pickup artist.
He had Sif.
Yeah, he had def sif. He
Yeah.
had bad.
Yeah, he was a hoe.
He was like a hoe around the world, an international hoe.
There wasn't much to do though in those days but be a hoe.
True.
It's like, what are you gonna do? You gonna sign a
We're gonna
declaration?
fucking write the Magna Carta and then fucking go blow
Bill of
some
Rights,
dudes.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wait, was he bi?
I'm sure he was.
Okay.
I get
I'm
the
into
feeling.
Yeah. No.
You don't? You think he was?
Would I be into him?
Oh, would you be into him?
That was what I was asking myself in my head.
I don't know what's going on in there, but I should have guessed. Yeah.
Perhaps.
You might be into him.
I might be
bet
into
he had
him.
a fucking vibe. I bet he kind of.
He was the mystery of his time.
He
do
was.
You think?
Yes. I'm sure of it.
Yeah, he liked to write. He would probably come out with a book about picking up women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he like he fucked around with married women. I think. I don't fucking know. I could be just truly making up fake news. Okay, back to this shit. Apparently, you can trigger dopamine in somebody by asking them the right questions. And you're asking them dopamine eliciting questions about themselves, like what they're interested in.
Yeah. That.
So here's a question. So, okay, let's say we've never really talked before.
Okay.
And I'm like, I want to strike up a convo with this guy. He seems funny. I've seen him do stand up. And I go up to you and I'm like, hey. Instead of going, what do you do?
Yeah.
Which is,
I hate
then
that
you have to say, what are you going to say?
I'm going to say I'm a writer
Yeah.
and comedian. Well, here's the thing. I don't tell people who
What
I
you do.
am or what I do unless I know them.
Okay.
Like
so-
if you're like
yes.
it's truly a stranger, maybe I'll wait. Actually, no, that's a lie. I would tell you, but
Why don't you tell people?
there are sometimes I actually don't do this anymore. But there was a period in my life where I was like I had a day job, but I wanted to do comedy and write, but I wasn't there yet either. So when people asked what I did, it felt crazy to say that I was a comedian writer, even though that's like
Right.
what I was doing, but I like it wasn't like my job yet.
You didn't just lie?
It felt crazy to lie.
Yeah.
And
I lied a lot. I used to lie my fucking ass off.
and so I would just say, sometimes I'll just say social media if I don't want to talk to people.
That's what you said?
I say I do social media for a nonprofit.
What? That is like the furthest from the truth. You're talking about making the wildest lie in the world.
And in my head, that makes so much sense. In my head, it's like there are nonprofits that exist and they want a social media presence sometimes. And
That's true, I guess.
and then they'll be like, what nonprofit? And I'll be like, they it's like college, it's like
Like a college
Like-
admission.
it's like college grant funding. It's kind of a lie.
Colleges
it's like,
aren't nonprofits.
It's a lie based on like every word is kind of based on a job that I did have at one point in my life. It's like I
Yeah.
did social media and I did work at a nonprofit.
Yeah.
And I did work at a college. And it's like, yeah.
You know what I used to do? Here's the lie I used to tell people. This is when I lived in New York and I was trying to transition out of being a teacher and into being like a comedy writer full time. Is I was getting paid a lot to like coach improv and like direct people's sketch shows and like, you know, like those kinds of things. So I was making money on the side, directing and coaching and stuff. And then when I sort of felt too busy or I didn't want to take on a new like directing job, I would lie sometimes. And it wasn't a lie for them because it was actually a like a manifesting tool for myself. I would tell them, unfortunately, I can't. This sounds like such a great idea and it sounds like so much fun, but unfortunately, I cannot do this job right now because I took another job writing for this thing, or like I'm busy directing this other thing, or like I would replace, like I'm not really being paid to like audition, whatever.
That's like, that is a thing.
Yeah, I
That's
would
almost,
like actually like insert the job that I wanted to be doing and use that as an excuse to not take this like job.
I feel like I have heard of that, people like saying you to do that in a way.
Really?
Yeah, because it is like, it almost like tricks your brain into like making that real. And
yeah, that's what I was not only messaging to myself that like, no, I have to like focus on my job, which is a comedy writer, which was not what my job was. I was a teacher in a classroom. And I was also trying to telegraph to people in my life that like I'm a working professional comedy writer.
Right. Have any of your former students been like, hey, you were my teacher?
No. But I kept a very strong like social media distance with my
I mean,
students.
you gotta.
I knew a lot of people who I was a teacher that were like my teacher friends who like didn't care. They were like, yeah, I'm friends with my former students on Facebook and shit and like whatever. And I was like, never.
Yeah, that's wild. Yeah, I would never.
But I was doing weird fucking like comedy, like weird like sketch comedy, like web series back when web series were a thing. I was doing shit and putting it on YouTube, and like I did not want my students being like,
no,
oh wow,
I wouldn't. Yeah, that would be terrifying.
Ms. S just made a sketch on YouTube about a world where men have tits and women don't.
But nowadays, I bet, I mean, kids can find anything. I feel like if you taught nowadays, even if you wanted to hide it, they would find it.
They found certain things and it would be funny, but yeah, I like made sure that I was just like, I didn't, a lot of times didn't even tell my students that I did comedy.
Yeah, I would never do that. I didn't tell coworkers.
Yeah.
People who genuinely were interested in my life.
Yeah. I would tell coworkers.
Yeah.
I would invite my coworkers. You haven't told your roommates? What's wrong with you?
I don't know. They would just see me coming and going like late at night, and like I would be like doing like open mics.
You had shame about it, or what?
I think I was just like, I knew I wasn't good, and I was like, I bet like there would be like. At the time, they would have been like, "Oh, I would love to come see you," but I was like straight up just bombing at open mic. So I'm like, "Please don't! I don't want you to come see. I don't want anybody to see this yet."
Yeah, totally. I still feel that way about stand up. I don't want people to come see me.
It's like not. Yeah, at the time I was like, it's not fully baked. Yeah, so to speak. Baby in the oven.
Yeah,
I mean, baby in the oven.
Baked a baby in the oven.
That sounds crazy. When I said that, I was just like, wait, literal baby in the oven. And I'm like, that's crazy image.
Okay. So back to the conversation where I approach you and I ask you what you do.
Yeah.
Versus me coming up to you and being like, hey, what's up? Have you gone on any crazy like online dates lately?
Oh. See, what's crazy is I haven't lately. It's been a minute.
But that was a pretend question, Brian. I'm not really asking. But see how you reacted? Immediately engaged. Immediately the dopamine is just like, let's talk about dates.
Yeah. Can you tell when dopamine is being released for you? Or is it just like, is it something that happens and you're unaware?
I don't think you can physically tell.
Yeah. But I bet if they hooked up some wires to wherever they could measure it.
I think you can tell when you like drop acid or like take ecstasy. Then you're like being flooded with it.
Yeah, then that's like that's like
But dopamine, or maybe that's serotonin.
I think it might be Sarah Michael.
But dopamine is like the reward and motivation chemical.
Yeah.
So it's like when you eat something good, you get that's like a dopamine, or
even if like you make a yellow light, dopamine.
yeah, dopamine. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You get there a minute early, even though you left 10 minutes late.
Wow. We know what's making you tick, Bri.
There's just exploding cars in the background. You're like, whew.
Yeah, I get all the chemicals confused. Dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, which is like the orgasm chemical. That's like the companionship chemical.
How do you get that? Just orgasm?
Mm-hmm. There's
That's
other ways.
crazy.
Like oxytocin can be released through like making out or like a hug, or like babies help you release oxytocin when you have like a sleeping baby and they they're like sleeping on you, they give off that hormone and it releases oxytocin in you. It's like
Holy shit.
like the companionship.
When they figure out how to put that in something you can take, then I think we as a society will crumble.
Well, I think that's sort of like I think oxytocin is the I call it like the crazy chemical, because when people have sex and then they're like, I love you, and you're like, oh fuck. I don't love you. But that's the oxytocin talking, because you gave them an orgasm.
But I bet it feels good
To be what?
to have that chemical like in your system.
For sure.
Yeah.
But then, if it makes you crazy and the other person doesn't feel the same way.
But I'm saying like once they figure out how to put that in like a pill, a la ecstasy, then it's kind of like you eliminate the other person entirely and you just have this crazy feeling.
Yeah.
That like feels really good.
Well, I wonder if that's if oxytocin, the chemical, is similar to Oxycontin, which is a drug, a very dangerous one.
I've never
that people
tried it.
get addicted to.
I've never,
and I'm
tried
sure
it.
that's why people get addicted to sex
and
other things.
Shit.
Brian, do we need to talk about your sex addiction?
This is crazy.
Have you ever considered that you might have a sex addiction?
I don't know. I think I have a little bit. And then you read, then you hear about like David Duchovny or whatever.
Yeah.
And you're kind of like, actually,
Wait,
I'm
he
good.
did?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He publicly had a sex addiction.
And what did that entail? Have you read about it?
Yeah. It's just, it truly is just like an intense. It's like almost like the behavior of somebody on drugs, but it's sex. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of like it like ruins your life. Mm-hmm. Now, or not ruins your life, but it like all of your decisions like sex.
I'm asking for lurid details from David Duchovny's sex addiction.
I don't really have any of that really. I know Warren Beatty. Warren Beatty in his prime was hooking up 12, 13 times a day.
A day?
A day.
What?
I saw this TikTok.
How?
It was like I think it was a TikTok.
Was he also like popping Viagra? Was he doing?
I don't think
that?
it was around. This was like in the 50s or whatever.
There had to be. It had to be around.
No, I think people like women were talking like these women were being interviewed and they're like, we would have sex and then he would want to do it again and then again and then again. I'm like, what?
No.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
It's kind of cool.
It is kind of cool, but also like.
But it is crazy. It's crazy.
That's so many times. For me, even two times in one day is wild.
It's pretty crazy. Should we get him on the pod?
Warren Beatty? Hell fucking yeah. Are you kidding? If we could get Warren Beatty on the pod, I would quit comedy.
Do you think, yeah, I feel like David Duchovny had a similar thing, but his
So it was
was
like
a little,
multiple
it was just
hookups
like
a day.
he just wanted more and more.
Okay.
And then,
I have a crazy question to ask you, Brian.
oh my God.
Ooh, we're getting dangerous. What is the most amount of sex that you've had in one day?
In one day.
In one day.
This is
this too personal for the pod? You better not say yes.
I feel like it has to be somewhere around like 3.
3? That's okay. That's realistic.
Yeah. But yeah.
Wait, with
This is crazy.
With 3 different people?
Yeah. But then there also is like
That is so much. That is fucking intense.
but then there are like, I mean, not to get too crazy, but like, you know, you go to these like gay sex places,
Mm-hmm.
you're hooking up with, you know, a bunch of people.
What are these gay sex places that you speak of?
They're like gays. They're like places where gay people,
Go to have sex?
yeah.
It like, and it's no longer at a bathhouse.
Sometimes it's a bathhouse. Sometimes it's like a party situation.
A party.
that is like exclusively
Like a sex party.
It's like a house party, but it's like a house that you would never want to live in.
Uh-huh. It's an Airbnb.
because it's truly just like made for having sex, and you're like, this is like not. This would be crazy if I had to live here.
Damn.
Yeah.
The world of being a gay man is just so
It's
different.
It's odd.
It's so
No, I love it.
No, I mean it sounds
kidding.
amazing. It sounds fucking awesome. But it's just so fucking different.
You should go.
What?
I have a friend who she's a bi woman.
Uh-huh.
But she's in a long-term relationship with a man.
Uh-huh.
She goes to Fire Island every summer, and she like, when I went with some friends, she like came with us to like the sex party.
Uh-huh. And she would just walk around and
And
like
she was just
jiggle
walking around,
her
yeah.
tits for the gay guys.
Yeah.
Listen,
I don't think they even
have never been more sexually harassed than I have by gay men. One time the most like visible, I was sexually assaulted by a gay man in a sports bar one time.
Whoa.
Because I was watching a football game with my friends, Go Ducks, and the fucking guy who my friend brought, this gay guy, I had never met him before, and he was just so like, hey, well, like just like a, you know, classic gay in his 20s who was getting hammered with us.
Love
and
that.
he was great until every time a fucking touchdown happened, he would run over to me and motorboat me.
Wow.
Just out of nowhere.
He didn't even ask. He was like,
No, there was no consent on the touchdown motorboating.
Wow.
And this was when we had like, I can't remember who our quarterback was, but we were the Ducks were like scoring. So the points were insane. Like we were scoring like 60 points a game. I was getting fucking assaulted by this guy. He would not stop fucking motorboating me, dude.
He was making you root against the Ducks.
I was scared for my life. At one point after, like in the fourth quarter, we would score a touchdown, and I see this guy beelining for me, and I was just like, no!
In his defense, what were you wearing?
I was wearing a
I'm
Ducks
just
t-shirt
kidding.
with my and you know what? Yeah, okay, fine. So my titties were huge and unstoppable. Okay, you couldn't not motorboat them. But that is not the only time that a gay man has motorboated me. One time I went to a party in New York City, and it was a gay party. And there was cocaine, and there was like fancy people, and I went with one of my gay friends, and it was getting late into the evening, and people were starting to sort of like pair off, and these gay men, I was standing in the bathroom line, and these gay men turn around and they go, oh, hello. And they were on drugs, and they were just groping my titties.
Whoa.
And I was fine with it because I was also in a party mood, but I was sort of flattered, you know, because I was like, wow.
There are gay men who are into doing that for some reason, and I never
Because
really
titties
understood.
are maternal. Their titties are not just
I don't
for
have
straight
that.
men.
I don't really get titties.
Yeah, that's fine. But like, I think that like there are, because men were also fed from boobs when they were babies. Of course they're gonna have like this like attraction to them.
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. There's something yeah. But I do think there are certain gay men that like really they want
Of course.
any opportunity they want to get their hands on tits, and it's just kind of like
Yeah.
I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I don't get it.
Yeah.
But I have been the victim of many a titty assail from gay men, and straight men. I've had situations with straight men too, but like with gay men, goddamn, leave my
tough.
titties alone, gays.
It's crazy.
I got them reduced, so now they're not as big.
Should we get into our call?
Yeah, let's get into our call. Here we go.
Hi, big fan of the podcast. It's my first year of college, and I moved from the States, North Dakota, to Aotearoa, New Zealand. And I would just like advice on how to settle into a new space, how to make friends in college, and also just general like study advice or like anything like you wish you could tell like your college selves and stuff. That'd be great. Yeah, thank you.
Aotearoa.
That's a wild move. South Dakota?
South Dakota or North Dakota? What did she say?
I don't know. I forgot.
Hold on, let me listen.
Hi, big fan of the podcast. It's my first year of college, and I moved from the States, North Dakota.
North Dakota.
North Dakota to New Zealand?
I wonder if you are Lakota or
Maori.
Hidatsa, Arikara.
And by Maori, I mean Tia or Tamara.
Maori.
Yeah.
Kia ora.
Or Taj. Shout out.
Okay. This is such a cute question, and what a brave soul to go to school in New Zealand with our Maori brothers and sisters.
That's
Here's what I'm going to say right off the dome. I recently went to New Zealand, Aotearoa, for a writer's retreat with my friend Tasba, who has been on the pod.
I remember seeing this.
And we were there for like 2 weeks, and it was so fun. And we hung out with friends of ours who are filmmakers. They're Maori filmmakers. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that blew my fucking mind about New Zealand is how indigenous it is there. Like, almost like North Dakota. Like, I feel like when I go to the Dakotas... Also, when I go to like Arizona or New Mexico, there's so many Native people there.
We're out there.
We're out there.
We're in the streets.
And it's also true for
New Zealand.
Yes.
Whoa.
There's like a lot of indigenous people there, and they are speaking their language. There's like people in their government system, their colonial government. It's a lot like the States, where it's like it was colonized by British people. So, and there's a huge resistance movements against the colonization of the island, and also or both islands. And there's like, fights for liberation, but the Maori people have like a lot of fucking like presence in their culture, unlike the States, where I feel like Native people we don't get that much. We don't get a lot of press.
No.
We don't have very good PR yet.
Not yet.
But with Brian working on all of your nonprofit social media, we're out here.
We're getting close.
He's really working on our visibility.
Were you like in like because when I think of New Zealand, it's like rainforest, or is there were you near a beach?
We were near the beach.
Okay.
So, and it felt to me, it felt like the Oregon coast. It felt like it's
That's what it looks
Pacific
like.
coast, you know. So
Is
it
is the beach like is the water warm? Like, can you go in it, or is it
I
cold?
didn't find the water warm, but we went when it was winter over there, so it was pretty chilly and sort of like rainy and coastal, like Pacific Northwest kind of coast.
Because their winter is our summer.
Yeah, and there are so many similarities from their coastal nations to our coastal nations, like the things that they're like the boats, the canoes that they paddle, their paddle culture, like their like canoe culture, they're like it's just so interesting how many of the Pacific Island regions, like of all of the Pacific, sort of mirror each other, and so if you're native, if this caller is native and you're from North Dakota, let's say you're from Standing Rock and you're in New Zealand, you're gonna vibe so hard with the native people there.
For sure, yeah.
The indigenous folks that are in New Zealand are like out here. They're like political, they're cool, they're fucking like they're living the same life that you are here in the States.
Yeah.
But they're islanders.
I think when I think of like freshman year, college, there are so many things that I'm like, that were firsts for me, like trying new stuff. Being in a new city alone, all of that is cool. But then there were also things that I was like too afraid to do that I wish I did.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like it's almost like you should treat it as like a sampling platter. Like do a little of everything. Because you don't have to like stick with that thing. You can always just leave it and then do the stuff you like.
How did you start making friends in college? What was your entrance into friendships?
It was like mostly the floor of my dorm freshman year.
So it was like
we all
your
just
roommates
kind of like, it was like the people you were in very close proximity to. That was kind of like your core.
Yeah.
And then it was truly like, then from there, it was like who their friends were. Then it's kind of like circled out. And then kind of like you found your core pretty quickly.
Yeah.
But then I also did transfer colleges after freshman year to a different place. So like the whole making friends freshman year was like taken out of the equation, and I was just kind of like left with my high school friends, which I was ultimately fine with.
Okay. I had a bit of a different approach because I didn't live in the dorms my freshman year of college. I lived off campus with my sister, who was already like a junior or a senior when I was
so you were like cool.
College. Yeah. Yeah, Bri. I was cool.
Living off campus freshman year is so cool.
I did live with Minnie, who has been on our pod.
Really?
Yeah, she was my roommate. She was also a senior.
Whoa.
And another friend of ours, Tasha. So it was like 4 women. We lived in a house. We shared a house my freshman year.
Oh my God.
But I think that sort of, I did have roommates, so I had the roommate experience. I think that I sort of missed out on like the bigger sort of like freshman experience. However, I immediately got involved in student unions and like organizing. So I was doing like the Native Student Union, the Native Student Association on my campus, and like the Multicultural Center, which was like an umbrella organization for all of the unions. And we were like putting on events and, you know, so I met a lot of the students that were like in the Black Student Union, the Asian Pacific Islands Student Union. So I was like really got myself involved in like student activities really, really quickly. And I studied theater, which is like very club-like.
I think what's cool about college is like they make it easy for you to find stuff, not even to participate in, but to also just like go to.
Yeah, there's so much to do.
And I feel like you need to treat that as kind of like something.
I love college. I loved college so much.
I didn't hate it, but I'm so glad that I'm not there.
Really?
Did
you like high school?
No, I hated school.
I hated high school.
I hated the act of having to do something. Learn, like going to school and like having to learn something in order to take a test that determines your future I didn't like.
Well, that's a very broad generalization of what school is, but I feel like I milked my college experience for every fucking single thing. Like, I was busy constantly. I was always doing shit, and I was smoking so much weed that I barely remember any of it. So
I am glad I feel like I did get out what I wanted to get out of it, though.
that's good. That's good.
Yeah.
I think that's if I were to give the advice to this caller, if I
Yeah.
were to give any advice, I would say get like every single day, like do something that you give a shit about, even if it's like sitting in your dorm room and watching TV, like
Watching Lost.
like we love that life. Like,
Yeah.
God, what a great college is the best because if you're on student loans or whatever, you don't necessarily have to like have a job and be hustling, although a lot of us do now because college is so expensive, but like you get to just kind of like live and have a social life, and there's so much shit to plug into.
Yeah.
And so if you really just like immerse yourself in that and sort of like, I know it's nerve-wracking to like meet new people and shit, but like if you can pretend to not care, if you can like turn that part of your brain off where you're I'm scared to do new things, if you can just like let yourself turn that shit off and just go in, God, you're gonna find your people so fast. And like my sister and Minnie and Tasha, my roommates from freshman year, Minnie is still like my best friend. She lives right down the street. My other roommate Abby, who I used to organize with, and like she lives in Portland, and I love her kids. Like they're my kids too. You know, it's like these are like lifelong friendships. College friendships are the real deal.
Yeah. I also think it's like have a vague sense of direction.
Oh yeah.
Like even if it's doesn't end up, just like having some type of like North Star to latch onto that like drives, what you're doing.
What was yours, Bri?
I think it was leaving.
I was gonna say dick, but
my North Star was like, okay, I want to get out of here and do writing. At the time, I was like through most of college, I was like, I want to write. I like was a creative writing. I didn't start out as a creative writing major, but then I like added that on as a second major, and it was kind of the best decision I've ever made.
Yeah.
I loved that I did that.
Yeah.
And so I think because I feel like it's easy to go into college and be like, I'm just gonna do what I feel like I should do or what people want me to do.
Yeah. Which is like education.
But it's kind of like, what do you actually want to do?
Yeah.
And you can use college as like a bit of a soft launch, or like it's almost pretend in a way of like it's real life, but it's not like a real adult life yet.
Correct.
And so you can kind of like play in the space of like, what would it be like if I actually did this?
And this is also why liberal arts colleges and universities are so fucking important to us, to our culture. We do not give them enough, like, I saw this TikTok the other day that said, you know that you're in a fascist country, you're living in a fascist country because a liberal arts education cannot exist in fascism. And I think about the way in which Elon Musk and Donald Trump are trying to defund public education, liberal arts education, and make college so expensive. It's like it's unattainable for a lot of people. Like,
it's really crazy.
And liberal, like, I always think college is not about college. It's not necessarily about the research. It's not about, it's about you as a young adult in these formative years in your cognitive life, like finding who you are and finding how you exist in the world. Like that is like what college is all about.
Yeah.
And so it kind of doesn't fucking matter. Like I was a theater major. I was doing the stupidest, most whatever. Like it's, I had such a liberal arts education.
Yeah.
Truly the liberalist of the arts. I studied that and I got a major in that. And I made a career out of it. Like I can do a lot of things. I was a teacher for many years. I
Yeah.
did go and get a graduate degree in teaching, which was a stupid thing. But you can do so much. It was really about the shit that I was doing outside of the classroom.
It was same. I feel like a big thing for me in college was like, I want to be somebody who rides a bike around campus.
Yes, and that's who you
And
can be in college.
It needs to be like one of like a cutesy, like a twee road bike.
Like a twee little like fucking like with a basket and shit.
And you know what? I was so nervous to be that person, but then I did it.
And
it felt so good.
And look who you are today.
And look who I am now. It's
just
sweet.
running all the social medias for all the nonprofits on all the colleges.
You can literally do it whatever you want.
Yeah.
And nobody cares in a way.
Yeah, you could be a fucking goth anarchist and just like walk around with a black ski mask on, just like yelling "fuck the government," and you know you can still go to class. And
what's also cool about college is if whatever it is you want to do doesn't exist, you can kind of make it happen very easily.
Yes, you can.
All you need is like to go to
the library,
or I feel like if you just start something in college, like nobody can tell you that you can't.
Absolutely.
Which sounds scary as I say that.
I was in a
You can
musical improv comedy.
Exactly.
group.
If that doesn't exist at your college, you can make that happen.
It was very grassroots, and we sucked a lot, but we had the time of our lives.
That sounds so
and
fun.
it kicked off my dream of wanting to move to New York City after college. And then I was like, that was my thing. I was like, when I leave college, I'm going to New York City.
Yeah. When you were in college, did you have a vision of your life after college, or were you kind of just like so immersed in college that you didn't really think about?
Both.
Okay.
Both. I realized, oh my God, I'm obsessed with performing.
Yeah.
I knew I wanted to do it, but now I understand what it means, and like that, I cannot live without doing this.
Yeah.
And so I was like, I have to do this at the most level that I can possibly do it, and I know that exists in New York City. So I'm going to New York City after this.
That's amazing. I remember being in college my senior year, and I was like at some party, and I was like talking to somebody who I think I was like a few months away from graduation, and I like truly had no idea what the fuck I was going to do after graduation. And I was talking to this person who graduated like the year they had already just graduated the previous year, and I was like, what are you gonna like, what's it like what happens? And they're kind of just like, you just figure it out, like it happens, and then you just figure it out. And I was like, whoa.
Now there are some people that I know who left college, and they,
Van Wilder, shout out to Ryan Reynolds. Oh wait, I think I did know that. That's crazy.
Wait, I didn't know that.
I think Bert Kreischer went to Florida State for like 6-8 years or something like that.
Amazing.
That launched him into stardom.
Amazing. I do think that. Okay. And with that's also something Brian learned in college. Bri, should we wrap it up? Where are we at time wise, John?
I believe we're at around 55 minutes.
Oh yeah, we should go.
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have anything to plug? Not right
Wait,
now.
I actually do.
Oh, you do?
Listeners, I'm doing some shows.
Oh, yes, Bri.
I'm doing some shows, listeners. If you live in Seattle, Chicago, Columbus, New York, LA, Chico,
What?
or Portland, please, I'm doing a show in March or April or May. The links to these are on my link in bio on social media. Please come. Would love.
God.
Special guests?
Go see Brian on tour, you guys.
See me on tour, please.
He's so funny. If you haven't seen Brian on tour or on live, if you haven't seen Brian live,
Now's your chance.
now's your fucking chance. That's so exciting, Bri, that you're doing a tour. I'm proud of you.
Thank you. I'm staying in some fun Airbnbs.
Oh, I bet you are. They're porn B&Bs. Well, that's all the time we have today. We hope our wisdom made your life better, but we will not be issuing refunds if it didn't.
And if you or anyone you know needs advice, has a question, or just wants to chat about something, leave us a message. There's 3 ways to do that.
You can leave a voicemail at 657-201-9263.
Or you can email a 1 to 4 minute voice memo to sagebasedwisdom@gmail.com.
Or you can follow the link on our socials that leads you to sort of a speak pipe voice memo, and it gives you shouldn't exit out. We learned from one of our callers that you can't push the X. You got to submit the question before you push the X on the box. But that's the easiest way to leave a voice memo.
It's very simple. Do that. Well, yeah. We'd love...
Wow.
As always, we'd love 5 stars on iTunes and for you to leave a review.
Yes. Thank you so much for listening to Sage Based Wisdom.
Hagone.
Poke show.